Please heed the warning. This is not so much hard as it is difficult to determine what you're dealing with. There's a bunch of rules, and with these rules, you need to understand every part of them. I'm being nice enough also, I'm going to cut this like down the middle to try and make things easier on you. Alright, so here's what we're getting into today. The joy of the world. Don't you love how beautiful my board looks, by the way?
I'm so thankful there's not random dots. Start making dots all over your board. Like little ones.
Alright, so today I'm going to start talking about what we call nomenclature. Now that's a big fancy way of saying it, and if you want to sound sophisticated and like the higher class, one way, you would like to say nomenclature. If you're like us poor southern redneck hillbillies and you want to look and you want to make sure people know what you're talking about, you just say, oop. Name, compounds, and molecules. Okay, y'all got that? This is pretty much what you're looking at. This right here is it, but this right here is where we start getting to the point where I told you we were going to get. Everything starts coming together. Remember those elements I told you to memorize? Hopefully you heeded that warning about memorizing those elements. Because if you didn't, this is going to be a very complex and hard section for you. And we use this throughout the rest of the class. So if you haven't learned those yet, you need to learn those. Pretty soon also, going to give you a heads up, about to come up with a list of polyatomics that you have to memorize, and they're more complex because they have like multiple elements with them and charges do matter. You have to know the charges. Oh man, that tea is good today. So, with starting in this, I want to start with something that should be familiar to you. You may have not heard it by this name, but you do know what they are. Monatomics. Now these monatomics, the green, the red. These monatomics are just single atoms that have had a change. Alright, and in this, what you're going to find out is there are two different ones that we're going to talk about with monatomics. Two different ones. You've seen them before, you used them before, you know what they are. You should be familiar with them. The first one of these is a cation. What is a cation? Been a while, but you have seen them. Only had crickets in the room right now. Cations are positively charged ions. Alright. And here's the key. Where do they come from? I'm going to say columns. 1, 2, and 13. Some examples of these, you've seen them before. Once I start giving them to you, you'll see what I'm talking about. So we have a sodium ion, calcium ion. And we use aluminum since it's sitting there. Those are just the different ones. So pretty much anything that comes from column 1, column 2, or column 13. And why is that? Why do they form cations? Just because I'm recording, it does not mean you can't get involved in class. Just don't yell your phone number out loud, your name, identifying physical addresses of where you live, any of that stuff. You want to know what I mean? Ask Braxton Green.
Why are you doing that?
Huh?
Why are you doing that?
I'm videoing this because I know how y'all gonna be. You're gonna get confused. Haven't done that.
I bet you million sound like a retarded redneck right now.
Do what?
I bet I sound like a retarded redneck right now, so I'm talking to the fly, so I can't hear myself in that.
How do you think I feel? Alright, what happens with these? How many valence electrons are in column 1? Come on. 1! Thank you. So we got 1 valence electron. Everything wants to get to 8, so is it easier for column 1 to gain 7 electrons or lose an electron? Lose the electron, which is why it loses an electron, which is a negative charge, which gives the ions a positive charge. About column 2? There's 2. Column 13? 3. Okay, in column 14, you're really not going to see them form any type of ions. They are more stressed and covalent bonded. So, this is the first type of monatomics you're looking at. Alright, we're going to start talking about naming rules here in a second. Before we get to that, I want to introduce the second part to this. So, let's talk about the cousin, anion. What is an anion? Negatively charged ion. So negatively charged. Wait a minute.
Are you gonna do a sad face?
Negatively.
I knew he was. You have mean eyebrows.
With some tears.
Give us some of those sad eyebrows. Why is his tears green?
Blue.
Looks green to me. Like, no joke, looks green.
Might want to see if you're colorblind.
Probably anyway.
What are those letters above the red?
It kind of looks green from back here too.
Here.
Huh?
What are those?
Oh, what color?
What color is that? What color is the stuff above that?
I see red, and the other one kind of looks bluish. So, I swear.
Alright, anyway, negatively charged ions. Just like before, come from columns. (15, 16, and 17). You've seen these before, you've dealt with them before, you've heard of them before, like examples of these. Let's do nitride, sulfide, the chloride. So there's some example clues. So you can see what those are like.
That S.
Yeah, sulfide. Okay.
So how's your day been so far?
It's been good. A little tiring and worn out. It's all good.
I feel
This is Tuesday.
you. What's the strongest day?
All right. So let's move from here. Let's go into the actual naming part. How to name.
I know how to name stuff.
These stuff.
That's a piece of paper. That's a board. You're Mr. Hall.
Look at you. You're all good. Why am I even teaching this? Let's just take the quiz and move on.
I don't know. Like, name the thing to your left, and I'm like, there's a desk. And
Oh, wait a second. Did you seriously just...
Yes. When I'm driving and someone tells me to go left or right, I have to think of what hand I right with, because I'm not.
Oh, sweet God. So if we're ever in a dire situation, don't let you drive if we have to rush.
It's a good thing that I'm usually with her.
That is a good thing. It's scary, though. that-
I went to Road
Yes.
Branch, I have an excuse. Sorry. Listen, I didn't, okay, I took a test and I stopped learning math when I was in like 6th grade.
There you go. So let's talk about naming these, all right? First thing we're going to start with are the cation. So that you all know, in all cases, whenever you're naming or whenever you're giving the formula, you're going to do these vice versa. Remember those chemical formulas you've seen before? All those Lewis structures we did, those things were chemical formulas. Okay? So in that, what you're going to be dealing with is every one of those will always start with the cation, and you'll always name it first with the cation. Got me? All right. So how to name the cation?
I feel like this is a game show. It's like, you guys ready? How to name this stuff!
Tomorrow, you're gonna have to like remind me how to say that, because if I look at that, I'm just gonna say it like cat on.
I got you. It's all good. Okay, cation. So here's the key to cations. You will name it
Yes.
by the name of the element. Do what?
I swear to God, this is so much like a game show. Have you ever seen those Japanese game shows where they look at someone and ask them a question and they'll look and they say, huh? I swear.
Jenny, you spend a little bit too much time on YouTube.
I know. Oh my God, that's how you should start your videos from now on. Remind. Like, welcome back to Kev Labs.
That's great.
This is the game called How to Name This Stuff.
Okay.
He's like, stop recording.
I would
Alright.
watch that on TV. Swear. You look at like guys that have a TV show, Kev Labs, I'd be like, what channel? I would watch it.
Alright, so let's just go through a couple of these. So let's look at...
Like, that's my chemistry teacher.
I thought that said lit there for me.
See, that's how I read it. Lit. Cut.
Okay.
Glad I'm not that young.
Alright, it's got a positive charge, so it means it's a what?
It's
Cation. Okay?
I can't even say it wrong.
I can't say that.
I want to say cow.
It's alright, you guys are used to the rules of how to pronounce words from English, and it doesn't apply over in science.
Listen, I suck at English. I mean,
I didn't know that either.
well, see, when I said it fast, it sounded like cow. I literally said
Didn't
it
even
so
get the
fast.
A in there,
No,
you
it
know?
didn't.
Took it out, put an O, and took a T out with
That's
a
why I said
W.
I didn't even get to say it.
Cow is
It's called catch.
Alright, so on this, so Li plus. What's the element Li? Lithium.
Wow, nerds. I'm joking.
Wow, they listened and did what Mr. All told them to.
I'm joking. Okay, this game shows me downhill. Okay,
Alright. And that's it
That's all you do?
for the cation.
Well, yeah.
He's adding stuff.
What's Ca?
Calcium.
Calcium.
And glitches.
And that's it.
Yeah, boy, drunk.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Yeah!
Where's the twist?
Yeah, I feel like you're
We're at the part in the game show where there's more, where there's like a trick in this. So where's the more?
It's like, oh, you want a prize, but you gotta do this first. And you're like,
Congratulations, you just won the $1 million prize. But we have it harder. You have to answer one more question, and we're not going to know anything about this.
it's gonna be like something crazy.
What's the
off
square root
topic.
of 14 billion something, and then you have to add like calcium to it? That's what you're going to ask.
All right, are y'all ready? All right, are you ready?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Goodbye, bye.
Here comes the cat.
Carbon.
Yes. Ankle itches.
Anion.
It's sad.
But why does that have to be here, though? I mean,
I feel like these
they
people
were
got
so
trickier.
happy. They're so happy up there, all by themselves being positive, and then here comes.
You see,
Anna.
these are those bullies that you got in high school.
Excuse me, I'm not a bully.
I never said you were.
Yeah, but I'm an anion, or however you say it, anion.
Okay, that's your choice. If you want to say you're an anion, go right ahead. But they're the bullies. You know that they're just being mean to somebody because others have been mean to them. They
Bad.
really just need a hug.
Bad.
Well, yeah, but Gordon don't care. They still
All right.
are.
You name it by taking
Knew it.
the name of the element, remove,
No.
remove the ending, and replace it
What?
Replace it with what?
with with I-D-E.
What is
I-D.
Calciumide.
Nitrite.
Oh, D. I put a D. Okay, but I just don't understand that whole sentence.
Moment, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a moment.
Yeah, I'm still right.
Okay? Write this down. Absorb it in for all of y'all that are looking and wanting to go calciide. This is a cation. This is not an anion.
I said I was joking, brother.
So we're done with cation?
That's cation right there. That's it.
There has to be a twist.
There's no twist to that.
See, I thought this was the twist here. Oh my god.
Oxygen.
Is that the reason you called them?
Oxide.
Do what?
I said, is that the reason you called the ones that are in parentheses under the thingy that way?
Sulfide.
Alright, that actually
Nitrite,
makes sense.
Mr. Hall did something, said something that makes sense.
I still don't understand.
I got it for now.
Yeah, sulfide.
All right.
Oh my god, I feel smart. I'm in.
This is when Mr. Hall is regretting his life.
Nitrate. It's nitrate.
No. Yes.
I don't know how you say
All right, so in this case, I got you two up here. I don't know if the camera can see that or not.
I can't tell this again.
Dylan, if you want to be over 6 foot tall, you need to do that.
All right, so first one we got
I can't see mine.
is O2 negative. What's the name of the element?
Oxygen.
So write oxygen.
I'm gonna spell this wrong.
I'm serious. If you're going to be over 6 foot tall, you need to sit down.
Look at the chemistry on the board.
I can't because of your head. I can see that.
All right, take off the ending,
Oxide.
which in this case is the YGEN.
Oxide. Oh, I got you.
Replace it with IDE.
Oxide.
Oxide.
Wow.
That's it.
Makes sense.
That's not too
So
difficult.
we got him doing
Is there
4.
something like that that's like that?
Well, see, but then here it comes with like a loop around, and then we're gonna get stuck in this black hole that we're gonna be able to get out of, and we're just gonna be lost like this whole entire class.
Ending, and then you Mr. Hyder.
Yep.
I'm trying to spell fluorine.
This is his game. It starts off, fairly decent, and then spirals.
I'll be real with you. It gets harder from here.
I know.
I spelled that wrong.
So fluorine.
Fluoride.
Remove the ending INE. Replace it with IDE.
Dylan, did anybody ask?
So then we have fluoride.
It's a question.
I'm joking. I'm in
Dylan,
such a
thank
mood
you.
today. Excuse me, I am confused.
Wait, how did you say that before you added the IDE?
Fluorine. Yeah, but you were being mean to Dylan, so I want to make Dylan feel good.
Yeah, thank you.
Get him
I've
back.
been in such a mood today. I've had so many mood swings all day long.
Yeah, first you gotta make fun of my transition lenses, and now it's this.
I have transition lenses. Why would I make fun of you for that?
I really am jealous. I mean, I have these open.
Mine are really cool. 'Cause I can walk outside and it'll be out in the sun for 5 minutes and they're like black. And I'm like, I'll have to waste money on sunglasses. They barely work.
The only time it stinks is when you go outside for 3 minutes and you come back in and you're like,
Oh,
You can't see
oh.
anything.
Oh yeah, and then everything's like kind of gray and you take them off and you're like,
Alright.
It's like shade for your
Besides the fact that y'all feel like Mr. Hall's about to like throw something at you and you're going to be like, ah, we knew it. How y'all feel?
Pretty good. I like this.
I'm scared though.
Okay. I'm going to erase this.
See, he knows what he can do.
I'm scared now. It's a hard one now.
After that,
big thing.
Hey, let's pump some steroids into this monster. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not, no.
All right, so here we go. You want steroids? Let's give you steroids right out the gate. Let's go for it.
Drugs aren't bad.
Have chopsticks.
What's the name of that?
sodium.
Brother.
And it's a cation.
Where'd you keep those, Jeannie?
Positive.
G.
So the name's sodium.
Oh. I got you. I'm picking on
What's the name of that?
It's
Sodium.
cat.
Would just be sodium.
Oh, I thought you meant like what's it called?
Sodium.
It's still sodium.
Sodium. You name it by the name of the element. All right. Oxide.
Oxygen. Because it has no plus or minus.
There's not a charge. It's neutral. If there's not a charge showing, then that means it's the element.
Thank you. I know that, but I don't know my left and right. That is oxide.
Now we're looking at oxide. How y'all feeling?
Pretty
So,
good.
every time we see oxygen to negative, that means it's oxide.
So pretty much anything with like a negative charge
You just do that little doohickey rule.
Alright.
Really the only one that
Man,
changes out.
Okay.
But if it's a plus, you just leave it with the element, right?
Yeah, it's just the name of the element.
Okay. So, what if, like, you put on a piece of paper like Li and there's a minus on it? We wouldn't be able to do anything about that.
I'm not doing that to y'all.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Don't worry about that. So y'all feel good with this?
Yeah.
Now this is the key. You'll combine these together.
What do you mean?
This is the easiest way I know how to tell you to determine which set of rules you're going to use. What type of bond do you have? What type of bonds, which we did learn, last thing we learned for Lewis structures, forms between cation and anion.
Four guys.
What type of bonds form between cations and anions? I'm going to wait on you to answer. Don't worry. I'm used to this class. I'll get comfortable.
That's a good thing. That's a good tip.
Come on. It's right there in your face.
Just put in. It's not nomenclature.
Right, okay.
The model.
That one says
Right.
Not covalent.
ion.
What is it?
Ion. I'm on the wrong one. It's ionic.
Say it loudly.
Me? Ionic.
Louder.
Ionic.
With confidence.
Ionic.
Like you won a state championship.
Ionic.
They like literally stayed the same all the way through. Alright, ionic! So if there's anything I can tell with you, when are you going to use these naming rules? When? Ionic bonds.
Woo!
Are we ever gonna need to really, like, go back to when we did like Deca and Giga and Nilla? Are we ever gonna go back to that?
Of course
It
we
all
will.
comes together.
See, and that scares me.
Like, can we just put with ionic bonds, like,
Does it
beside
go to
all of
both?
it, or is it just?
As long as you know you're going to use that with ionic bond. I set that like that just so y'all will make sure that you got that, because that is so crucially important. If I have a covalent bond, do I use these naming rules?
No.
No, it's not an ionic bond, so we will not use the ionic bond bonding rules. It doesn't have cations or anions in it.
Okay, if you're gonna scream at us, can you at least do it in that accent?
Which one?
The one you always do.
Yeah, the one you always do.
You started it with your teacher, and he was like, I don't know.
Please God, I promise you, you'll tell that every year.
Like, you need one full straight day in that 2 weeks, and it was. And then, like, I stopped.
Okay. Moving forward. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Say it with confidence. Yes, here we go. Okay. Let's combine these babies together, alright? Here we go. Alright, here we go now. We're gonna name these things. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Name one Shakira.
No. No Shakira's here, okay?
Oh, did you? I thought I was like in your.
Okay. Now hold up. Before you freak out on me. You say, what are you doing, Mr. Howard? You've lost your mind. I've not lost my mind. Yeah. Yeah, well, sometimes I question it, but every time I come to the same conclusion. I'm
Yes.
still wondering if I did, so that clearly says that I haven't, because if I had, I wouldn't be wondering if I had. Think about it, it makes sense. Okay, let's look here. Break these things down to what you know about them. What did Mr. Hall say would always come first? The cation or the cation?
There we go.
Sounds fancy. So here is our cation. How do we name cations?
That's not funny.
You're laughing. How do you name it?
You name it by the name of the element.
What is the name of the element? Lithium. I know, I looked at you for a minute because I thought you was going to say something else, but I was like, she jumped ahead, but she's good. So lithium.
Yeah, that's right. Backfire on you, Mr. Hall.
Hey, listen here, you a chef, okay?
Give her the hall.
Don't take no sass up in here. You got that?
Okay.
No sass.
Okay.
Bet.
Big bag.
I bet.
All right.
Big.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Oh.
What is this?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. But it is bonded with lithium. That is a cation. That informs us, since these two are sitting next to each other, there has been a bond. They have transferred off the electrons. They have looked and said, here you go, have some of my electrons. And the other one was like, yay, I got the more electrons. So they were all happy. Okay?
Where's the place?
I'm so happy you got it.
Just remember it.
Okay, so in all of these, all right, are you crying? Are you all right?
I'm just so happy.
Somebody check on her. I'm worried about her. Okay, but back to this. So this is the one that picked up some of the electrons. Yeah.
We also got that
You're physically crying. She's snoring. Do you need to go in the hallway for a minute? You need to grab your composure. Okay.
My eyesight's blurry.
That's because the author is in there. It's bending all the light that's coming into your eyes.
You got any tissue?
Negative. No.
Hey, you got it.
Oh, wait. This is not tissues. This is special glass.
I said it was Lynn's towels.
Yes, instead do not touch these. These are expensive. Okay, like for example, I paid
They're like 99 cents.
$13 for these things. Don't look at me like that.
Then my good, just rub it on your shirt.
I'm not gonna scratch these things. You know how much money these cost?
These are perfectly fine. Well, partially, I sat on them. But they're fine.
Okay, back to this. Here is anion. How do we name the anion?
You name it by taking the name of element, remove the ending and replace it with I.
Very nice that you can read. Now put it in your own terms. You take the name of the element. Write it down.
Yeah, you put oxygen.
Very good. We write it down. You grab and erase it. Don't do this in pen. I'm just kidding. It's your notes. Whatever
Well, I
you
just
do.
rewrite it. I just forgot.
You know what? Y'all go right ahead and rewrite it. Sassy. My God, y'all got like so much sass.
We learned it from the best ones.
Okay, you'll put the ending with IDE in it. You got it? Lithium oxide. You good? Yes, very nice. I'm proud of you. Do a great job. Wonderful.
Do we do anything with
Hey.
2?
Yeah, what was
You do nothing. You know why?
well, why is it that?
Because you work backwards to know you must have the 2. You have great question. Let me answer question. Stop looking at me like you
What?
don't know.
I'm looking.
Okay? Hey. Your sass has been at like an 8 this whole class, and you're going to drop it to a 2 right now. Why is there a 2 there? Why is there 2 lithiums per 1 oxygen? What is the charge of the oxygen? And if you need to remember back to it, what column is the oxygen in? Say it louder.
16.
16, thank you. Okay, which means how many electrons will it gain? Do not say 6 to me. Okay?
Oh, wait.
Oh my goodness, people, please. How many valence electrons do elements want?
8.
8. How many does oxygen have? So how many would oxygen take? 2. So what is the charge on the oxygen? What are electrons?
Positively charged or negatively?
I'm not talking protons, I'm talking electrons. Negatively charged subatomic particles that can be like waves and particles, but that's a side note. What we care about is negatively charged subatomic particles. So it picks up 2 electrons, which means it picks up how many negative charges? Say it with confidence. 2. Thank you. Don't yell at me. Gosh, simmer down. Go back in the hallway and cry some more.
See, this is why
All right, we got -2.
I bet.
Lithium is from what column?
Miss Algebra asked me why I was crying. I told her it's because of you.
Very nice. I'm sure she'll have questions now. Alright, lithium. Concept color 1 means how many? What will be the charge of a lithium? I need more detail than 1. You know, we put some identification with it, with like it's positive or negative, some of those stuff, yeah? What? Say it with confidence. That is not speaking. That is waving your hands at me. Where did that come from? Okay, never mind. You don't talk to me anymore. Somebody else. Come on, people. What would be the charge on the lithium? What means it's the what charge? Positive, positive what? I think I got you. Positive 1. I'm so sorry. So it has a +1. These things are always looking to equal out. Okay, we want this neutral charge overall. So whenever these things are bonding, they're like, hey, yo, I take more. Yeah, I gotta have 2. And this one lithium comes in and it looks at oxygen and says, but I only got 1 that I can give. And he looks and says, whoa, I got to have 2. So they go and find another friend of lithium and they come back together and say, now we can both give you 1. Yeah, and they say, yeah. And then they get 1. Okay, so there's 2 of these lithiums. For every 1 lithium, we have a +1 charge, which means there's 2 lithiums. Gives us a +2 charge. They cancel out. That's why the 2 is there. I'll see you later on. Have a wonderful day.